Welcome to the Boundary Banter Cricket Podcast. I'm your host, Kunal, and I'm joined by Vasu. In today's episode, we're going to be discussing our thoughts on the T20 World Cup so far, some of the big upsets in the group stages, go over the game that happened today between South Africa and America, and finally wrap it up with our thoughts on the games tomorrow between England and the West Indies and India versus Afghanistan. So diving into the World Cup so far, in the group stages, what have you thought of the World Cup so far, Vasu?
So far of the World Cup, I've enjoyed it and I've not enjoyed it. It's been a yes or no for me so far. Uh, I've enjoyed it. I mean, I've not enjoyed it because of there's not been a lot of the big scores, as you know, in T20 because T20 is there for the big scores, and because you want to watch T20 for the big scores, like one of those big hitting boundaries and all of that. But I've also have enjoyed it because it's giving a lot of this. It's giving it's given a lot of the small nations these big chances. It's given us a lot of the small nations chances to actually go ahead, go qualify, and actually give a big. It's actually give like actually come out and beat this and beat the bigger teams there, such as like the biggest example is America beating Pakistan there, like one of those things there. So I mean, in that terms, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've actually quite liked this World Cup. It's been a nice contrast for me because I particularly wasn't a big fan of the IPL that happened since every game was above like 250 and people and teams were chasing those scores down, which I just don't think. I don't know. Just not my style of watching T20. But yeah, I've liked these low scoring totals. I think they've been too low at times, but I think that has cost for some entertainment with teams like Pakistan really not being able to handle uh like they lost America and they nearly did lose to Ireland. It was all pretty much down to Babar Azam's wicket. And I think like these two like low scoring games have costed some teams because I think if you would have played this leg of the tournament in the West Indies, I think Pakistan probably do a lot better and probably make it out the group because I think it was such low scoring games and low scoring games like just have more pressure on them. I think that really didn't go in Pakistan's favor, but as usual, they come with the entertainment, so it's always good to
Yeah, I
have
mean
them.
that's the thing with Pakistan. Like it doesn't matter what you're doing and what you're playing. Like Pakistan always provide the entertainment.
Yeah,
So
honestly, I think they need to they should get an automatic buy into every ICC tournament just for
yeah,
on
what?
entertainment value. Like I
Yeah,
think because they didn't make it out of the group stages, I think like someone was telling me they might have to qualify for the next T20 World Cup, which I think is should not be the case. I think automatically
with Pakistan, the thing is they provide that entertainment there. Like so, it's
no.
like it's actually great to watch Pakistan because they actually give you that entertainment factor there. Like
Yeah, no,
you know,
after India, Pakistan's like the one team where I watch every game because I just know something's gonna happen.
like
Um
every minute of the game there, like in Pakistan, there is that one thing. Like you are on the edge of your seat with Pakistan there.
yeah.
It's just I mean I mean like it's that meme of like that it's that like Martin Scorsese meme like cinema there when you're sitting down
Cinema.
it's just basically cinema there that's what Pakistan are.
What do you call it? I mean, moving past Pakistan, looking at Group B. Group B was kind of boring. Scotland provided some of the entertainment until the final game, which I think we were all hoping for a rain, but to see England get knocked out. But unfortunately, England go through. I mean, it could be good for the
No.
tournament if England going through, but yeah, I think Group B was quite straightforward, honestly.
Group B, I was really impressed with Scotland and how well they played. I mean, they gave England a really good go. Like, I mean, in that game, in the Scotland England game, had that not have had the rain not come through there. I mean, Scotland were playing really well.
No, no, you mean
I
you
mean,
mean if the rain had not, if the rain actually stayed, right? Because if it had rained out, Scotland would have went through.
no, no, no. I'm talking about the very first game when Scotland and England were playing.
Oh, got you, got
Yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, Scotland were really playing. I mean, Scotland were like 90 for no loss, and it was for 10 overs there. I mean, Scotland could have put like a really good total there. But like, I
And
mean, Scotland
honestly,
Scotland could have won that game.
the most entertaining. thing about me for a group from Group B was it, I think was it Hazelwood who said that they might lose on purpose the last game
Oh yeah.
yeah, yeah. I just loved what that did with the English media. Like everyone was so triggered and like just outrageous of like because I remember when he said that Pat Cummins in the next like three press conferences he gave was like just answering the same question as like, oh, are Australia really going to lose on purpose? So I felt
No,
like
I had a Tim Payne. I heard said that. Tim Payne. I heard that he said to. I think it was to Cricket Info. He said that Australian players should actually go on a holiday.
yeah, I just love.
Yeah.
I think Hazelwood knew exactly what he was doing when saying that, and I think it worked perfectly to just get the media riled up a little bit.
No, but I
Uh,
fair play to Australia. They played their full strength side against Australia
I mean,
against
of course.
Scotland.
Realistically, did anyone think they were not going to play their full strength or not lose? I mean, try to lose purposely. I mean, it kind of felt pretty obvious that they were going to go
And
for it.
they played their full strength side against Scotland, and Scotland gave them a amazing, amazing go. Scotland gave it an amazing go and like took it to the very last over.
Yeah. Oh, but yeah, that game at the end actually turned out to be close in general. Um,
I mean, so of all the associate nations, I mean, so far, I mean, America have been like after America, I think Scotland have the one that have the one that has really impressed me in this competition. And out of in Group D, Uh, South Africa have qualified, but I think South Africa have they have qualified, but I think they've struggled in every game. They've struggled to just win in every game.
I
They
mean,
have won it, but I
yeah,
mean, I mean, I mean, they in that Nepal game, I felt so sorry for Nepal. Like Nepal, like on the last ball, felt so
I
sorry
mean.
for Nepal.
It's kind of just what happens. I mean, even in today's game against America, which we'll get to later, South
Yeah.
Africa just barely make it through again. I know at the very end it wasn't as close, but throughout the most 20 overs, it was a pretty close game. Looking back at Group C, probably the hardest group I think in terms of like talent and the teams who showed up at the World Cup, because I think the West Indies and Afghanistan were pretty flawless throughout the whole group stages, which
Hmm.
left New Zealand in a pretty bad situation because they lost their first two games were Afghanistan and West Indies, and they lost both, which pretty much meant they were out of the tournament after two games. Obviously, they still could have qualified, but that would have required West Indies and Afghanistan to lose both of their two remaining games and
Yeah, I
come
mean,
down to net run rate and stuff.
what really hurt them was their very first game, like because they lost by a very, very big margin
Yeah, I
against
mean,
Afghanistan.
and I do overall think, I don't think so. This New Zealand team was like the strongest T20 team coming into the tournament, like in general. So, I mean,
Yeah, and I mean, like the very first that very first game, that New Zealand team, they looked very, very off as well. Like they were like so many dropped catches and like which is very odd for a New Zealand team. Like because
yeah,
I
but
mean,
even yeah,
like there are like the best fielding team, like one of the best fielding teams are going around. Them in
just
South Africa.
they just felt like a very like quiet slash like
Yeah,
muted World Cup from New Zealand. They didn't like
like
they didn't come dead last or they didn't come first. It just felt like
it felt like a
they
very tired team to me.
just felt like a nothing World Cup out of New Zealand, to
Yeah,
be quite really
it
honest.
felt
And
like
then.
yeah, it
And looking
felt
at
very
Group
dull.
D, I know we touched on Group D a little bit, but no real surprises here. Like I think we all kind of expected maybe South Africa to go through. I know we said it was
Yeah,
not that hard, and kind of a toss up between Bangladesh and Sri Lanka, um,
yeah,
which
yeah.
hopefully.
No.
I mean, that game, I was hoping for a bit of Angelo Matthews, Shakib Al Hasan kind of for face off,
Yeah,
but
exactly. Yeah.
that game, I feel like ICC has definitely rigged that group. They put Bangladesh and Sri Lanka together.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, whoa, what a surprise. India and Pakistan are in
Is
the
the
same group.
and Bangladesh and Sri
And
Lanka. Bangladesh
the
and Sri
same.
Lanka are like just pure entertainment.
Yeah.
Anything else out
I
of?
think these days, I think these days, Bangladesh and Sri Lanka, in terms of competition, is a bigger rivalry than India, Pakistan now,
Yeah,
if you look at
I
it.
think there was that one. I mean, if looking at between India and Pakistan, I mean, there was a time when I think 2017 to maybe like just around COVID time where Pakistan, I think, kind of had India. Um, they
I
played
mean,
India a
yeah,
lot. They played India a lot closer, but I just have to admit, ever since that. Kohli innings in Melbourne in the T20 World Cup. I don't think so. Pakistan have ever been the same against India ever since then.
I
Because
mean, no, even before that. I think even before that. I think the last time India in a World Cup game, it was in 2021. They beat Pakistan beat India, and before that, in any World Cup game, Pakistan have never beaten India. The only
but I
time Pakistan have
remember,
been,
I think they played us close in the Champions Trophy too, right? The one that they
yeah,
won.
yeah,
So that's what
Champions
I'm
Trophy
talking
they have
about.
beaten. Yeah,
I'm talking about like at one point recently, in Pakistan played India a lot closer in games. And then after that T20, like at the game at the MCG in the T20 World Cup where Kohli pulled it out of the bag. Ever since that, I think the games have kind of gone back to the old way of like they're not really close. Like um the last
but
year in
yeah,
last year's World Cup, India absolutely smashed them out of the park. And this World Cup, I'm like it was a very close game. It's just kind of hard to judge because I mean Pakistan really did kind of drop the ball on that game, but uh just yeah, I think this Pakistan team is kind of feels like
yeah.
they're
But
not
that thing
really
with this
going anywhere.
Pakistan team, I mean, you can tell like the players are just not good enough there. This Pakistan team.
I think their bowling is a little weaker than
No,
it's
it's
kind
their
of
bowling. Their bowling is not the problem. It's just their
no,
batting.
I'm saying it's not as good as it used to be. So I think they can't even rely on their bowling to get them through the tough games. I mean, and just finishing off the group stage discussion, let's just kind of talk about India. India, I think, have been really good so far in terms of their bowling, and our fielding has been pretty good. I think our bowling, I'm trying not to get too excited by it, which is because usually our bowling is pretty good, but it's also been a very heavy like bowlers World Cup, so you've kind of expect them to do good if everyone else is bowling doing good. So it'll be interesting to see how our bowling does in the West Indies now, where the games are
Yeah,
a lot more high scoring.
yeah. So like yeah, so we do have like so the West Indies have been having some high scoring pitches. So yeah, we'll have to see how how the Indian bowling goes there, and then especially and now we'll also have to see how the Indian batting plays out because batting has been so far disappointing, except apart from one or two players.
Yeah,
So we'll
I
have to
mean, I
see.
think Rishabh Pant has been the only kind of standout for us.
Yeah.
And Pandya had a good innings too in one of the games, if I remember correctly. But overall, I think
Surya Kumar Yadav played a good, decent innings there against the United
yeah, I
States.
think Pant is the only
Mm.
one who's put two performances together, right? He played the
Yeah,
first two games well, and then he didn't play well
yeah.
against America. But I think
He,
they need to switch the batting order. I think unfortunately, Shivam Dube has to make his way out of the team, and Jaiswal has to come in because I think not only is like I think I wouldn't even say Shivam Dube has had a bad World Cup. I think he's just done nothing too great or too bad. But I think him being in the team causes a lot of disruption that I think it was fine. I think after the on the back of the IPL, they thought like, yeah, let's open with Kohli. But I think it's a World Cup. Kohli loves the pressure. I think you put him back on his favorite spot, first down, and you have Jaiswal Inderhoth open. And I think that suddenly, if you just do that switch of having opening with Jaiswal and having Kohli come first down, dropping Shivam Dube, that suddenly just makes the whole batting order. I'm not saying they'll bat all well, but it suddenly makes the batting order like make sense, like from like first down to like all the way down to like fifth or sixth in batting because. Goalie coming first down just makes sense. And then two, I think it also pushes Punt back a little bit in the innings, which I think suits him and India better.
yeah, I can understand that. Yeah. And then I think in the West Indies, when India go into the West Indies leg of the tournament, I think they have to bring in Kuldeep Yadav as well because I think he actually was brought in to the tournament into the team for that purpose there because the pitches over there will suit him. So I think if I was to decide, and I think I would drop Jadeja then and keep Akshar Patel because you still have a batting all rounder and then you would have two spinners. And I would drop Jadeja because for me he's not a good white ball player. I mean he can't. His white ball performances have not been the best for so long now. So
and I think so far out of all our bowlers, he's probably been our weakest bowler too. From what I
yeah,
remember, I think he obviously hasn't had a bad World Cup because it is a very bowling friendly
yeah. So
tournament so
I
far.
would,
But I think he's overall not had compared to the rest of our bowlers. I think he's probably been our weakest bowler.
yeah. So I would bring in Kuldeep Yadav now as well. So because you have to bring in spinners as well now. Yeah,
Okay.
and then you bring and then we only have, so as you said, you're dropping uh goalie to dropping number two. So we obviously bringing in Jaiswal then at the opening position.
No, Kohli number three. Then that's
Kohli number
first in.
three, yeah, sorry, Kohli number three, and so Jaiswal is going to be number one. And then yeah, Rohit Sharma hasn't had the greatest World Cup either.
Yeah, I mean, he had one good game, right? I think that was the first game where he made some runs. He made like
Yeah,
40 odd runs, I think, in the first game.
against Ireland, he made a half century, and then he got retired out. I think he
Yeah,
got hurt. Yeah, he got hurt. Yeah.
Um, yeah, but that seems to be pretty much what we kind of with India. I think that Canada game being rained out, even though we would have lost or maybe not lost, regardless of the result, kind of hurt India because they would have at least I think they would have done the combination that we're talking about of playing Jaiswal, but then now we don't get to try that out until the Super Eights, which is a little more high stakes. So I'll be interested to see what India do. Do they just stick with what's worked, but has it really worked? We've won our games, but I don't know if it's really worked with our batting. So I think they might do the change against Afghanistan. Moving on, I think we can maybe start hitting on some of the South Africa versus USA game today, which was the first Super 8 game. I mean, just looking quickly before we get into that, looking at the Super 8 groups, I think they're both pretty evenly poised. Both groups, like I don't think so. One group is harder than the other. I think the India group is just slightly harder because you have India, Australia, and Afghanistan have been, I think, probably the best team in the tournament for me, and them in the West Indies.
I
Where
I think for me, I think Australia have been the best team in the tournament so far, I would say. So
I just think Afghanistan's bowling is probably uh the best. So I think now when you go to those high scoring pitches, um, I think
uh
their bowling might come in clutch. And looking at Group Two, you have South Africa, America, England and West Indies. I think for me, um, South Africa, I think we pointed out earlier, just have been kind of scraping every game to the very last over and just kind of just getting over the line. Nearly the same situation against today against America. I think, if I remember correctly, I think what do you call South Africa got off to a really good start with Quinton de Kock. I know they lost Hendricks pretty early on, but then I think
mhm.
DeCock and Markram took the game pretty much, and they were pretty much smooth sailing because I think they lost their first wicket in like the second or third over, but then they didn't lose a wicket for like pretty much like 100. They had a 100-run partnership nearly. Um, so I think what was it? South Africa were 226 for two, and then they ended up on 194. So it was a good comeback by America, I think, at the end. They bowled a little better.
So South Africa were 141 for four in 14 overs. Sorry, in 15 overs. And then they finished 190. They finished 194 for four. So I thought so it was a good recovery from the United States. And so I thought it was a decent recovery at that point because like at one point South Africa were looking at going they were looking at like about 200 215 there, the way that South Africa were playing.
Mm.
And when the United States came out to bat, and then like the way they started, they started off quite well. Like, they started off quite well,
Yeah, I mean
but
they had a pretty good partnership too. They lost their first wicket in the third over, but then after that, I think they had. I mean, I don't know if they had a good op start because honestly, apart from Andreas Gauss, like they lost Stephen Taylor pretty early on, and then they. I thought I thought America lost the game in the first 5 overs because you lost your first wicket in the third over, but then you lost 3 wickets in the span of, sorry, 2 wickets in the span of like 11 balls, and you were suddenly 56 for three in 6 overs.
and I what for me there, the United States just really needed a partnership at the top of the innings, someone like an Aaron Jones or a Nitish Kumar, like one of them had to kind of just like between one of those and with one of them with Andres Grouse, like they had to like have had like some sort of a partnership with him. If they could have had a partnership with him, and then afterwards, like and after that, and afterwards, as you saw that Andres Grouse and after Andres Grouse and Harmeet Singh had almost like a 90-run partnership, like so, and then like America were like definitely in the game. Like America might have just won the game there, like because
Y-
thing is, but at the top of the order, America just needed like some sort of a partnership, which they didn't
Yeah.
have, and I think
Uh,
that's where they lost the game.
Yeah, I think pretty much, yeah, same thoughts here. I mean, looking at South Africa's bowling, their bowling was quite weak, honestly. Apart from, I think, like Rabada and Maharaj, the rest of them really didn't do much. I mean, Jansen, 3 overs, 32 runs. But I think the special, that was Shamsi, 4 overs, 50 runs. So he, I think, pretty much brought America back into the game because I think it was the 17th over where he went for 22. And then when Rabada bowled that second last over, I think, or was the 18th or 19th over he bowled, where he only gave 2 runs and a wicket, I think that pretty much sealed the win then, right? Because he needed like 20.
Yeah, I mean, towards the back end of the innings, South Africa weren't bowling that well. Like they weren't bowling well. They weren't bowling that well. They like their lines and their lines like they were. I mean, they were South Africa were just doing like their South Africa were just gonna do another South Africa. Like they were like they were bowling here and there. Like I mean South Africa were just bowling all wayward there. So I was like. I was watching it there. I was watching it and I was thinking like, what is this bowling? But then obviously the last couple of overs, except that Rabada over, uh, there was like I think that Rabada over actually just saved them the game.
Oh,
But
absolutely. I think that
yeah,
Rabada over absolutely won them the game because if not, you probably need like maybe like 10, 15 runs of the last over, and then I think in T20 anything can pretty much happen at that point.
yeah.
Um,
Had they got like 10 runs from that Rabada over, they were looking at getting 16 from the last over, but and 16 in the last over of a T20 game. You're like the bowler is bowler under so much pressure there.
I mean, looking forward now, before we kind of wrap this up, looking forward to tomorrow's 2 games, which is the West Indies and England. Uh, Thoughts? Who do you have winning that game?
Oh, I think that's a very uh I make ooh, I think that's going to be a really really good game. A really really good game there. West Indies are a batting powerhouse, and I mean England's bowling is really good, but England's bowling has been on and off this tournament. There, I mean, against England, their bowling was sorry, not against England. Sorry, England's bowling against Australia were was very average. As same against Scotland. Their bowling has been only so we've only seen their bowling well against like the associate nations. Well, Australia, Scotland have an associate nation, but they're actually playing well. But England have only bowled well against Namibia and Oman, so you can't really say much about England's bowling against them. But we'll have to see how well they bowl against against West Indies. But I think West Indies. But we just seen what West Indies did to Afghanistan. Almost scored what 200 and 200 odd against Afghanistan there recently.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but but the thing is, if West Indies bowl first, I mean, then I think West Indies will probably win the game because West Indies are if West Indies will chase it down, no problem.
Um,
Because England are a chasing side. England love to chase there.
for me, I think I have England winning comfortably tomorrow, to be honest. I know West Indies have been really good this World Cup, but I just think England are going to just clutch it out. I agree with every point you said. I don't have the best reasons for picking England. I just think something about this England team. I think they're going to play a lot better in the knockout stages, I think. And I think they might also switch up their team for the West Indies uh part of
Hmm.
the tournament. So I'm expecting. I'm predicting an England win tomorrow, and I could, I might have to eat my words, but I think it won't be a close game either. So we'll see what happens.
No, I
Uh,
think it'll be a very good game there.
I think it could be an entertainment game, but I think I have England comfortably beating the West Indies. I mean, people can tune in for the next episode when I have to apologize for this prediction, but
Well, no, I
but
think also England's batting is there's a problem with England as well. I think they've actually made some decent changes to their batting. Like they actually had four openers batting at the very few. Like they had like what who did they have? They had Joss Butler and they have Phil Salt. And at the very start of the tournament against Scotland and against Australia, they had Will Jacks and they had Johnny Bairstow. Like but they have four openers in their
mm,
top four bat up. I mean, which is just I mean, sometimes we say Pakistan have like I mean their all their decision going wrong. I mean, England have
I
are not the
mean,
best in yeah. So I mean, you have four openers playing in your top four,
I don't
and then
think.
but then they made the right decision. They dropped Will Jacks and they actually have Harry Brook now playing at number four, which I think is his best position.
Yeah, Harry Brook at number four seems definitely like the right call. And then
And then they brought in
talking
Sam
about,
Curran, and then they brought in Sam Curran, who I
which
think
I
is
don't know why he wasn't in the team from the first place, in
yeah.
my opinion. Like I think Sam Curran in most teams gets in pretty easily.
Yeah,
I know he had a weird enough IPL, but I think he gets into most teams pretty
yeah, and I
easily.
think and I think I believe he's a great T20 player. I
All
think
right.
he's a really good T20 player.
And then finally with Afghanistan and versus India tomorrow at 3:30 UK time. It's in Bridgetown. I think I also
Well, that's
I have India winning that game tomorrow too. Um,
so yeah, Bridgetown adds a batting wicket, so you can expect so that will be so that's going to be full of runs there because any game, so most all the games that have happened there in Bridgetown have produced big runs there. But the
yeah,
ball, yeah, but in the Bridgetown, from what I've seen, from the games I've seen there, the ball does turn there. I mean, so Walter's turn there, so Afghanistan have that on their side. But the only thing I have with Afghanistan is there that is actually their batting. So if India do put up a big score, Afghanistan is that's where Afghanistan will struggle.
I
So
think if India win the toss, they should bat first.
that's exactly it. India should bat first and
Yeah, I think you make a
put
you
up a big
I think you make Afghanistan chase with this batting lineup because apart from
yeah.
like one or two stand-up players, I think their batting is very susceptible to a crumble, which would I think what India should do. But I knowing how India like to play in ICC tournaments, I think they'll probably want to chase as usual. But if I think what I think they should do, I think I would bat first and put up a skull.
I mean, look, if you look at it, if you look at Afghanistan against the West Indies, like Gurbaz, who's probably their best T20 batsman, he got out for zero there, and then that's where like the game probably I think was a massive fail for Afghanistan because I mean they're chasing 218 and Gurbaz gets out, which probably one of their best T20 batsmen.
Yeah.
So
All right. Is there anything else you want to talk about, or should we start wrapping
uh,
it up?
I think it should be it. Anything else you want to add there?
No, I think that's it. Yeah. So thank you everyone for listening. Please leave some feedback on Spotify and YouTube, and please rate the podcast and tune in next time for the next episode.